African students on the borders of war-torn Ukraine are still struggling to leave that country to get to a place of safety. Just yesterday, we heard of the unfair and segregated treatment many of them were actually met with by Ukrainian soldiers in particular that are manning these borders. Today, we bring an update from the Ukraine Crisis Evacuation Committee member, Lorraine Blauw, who is still in the Netherlands for us. But we're also going to bring into the conversation Expat South Africa founder, Lebone Kganyago, who's also been working to assist some of these students who are stranded there. Lebone live to us for Limpopo in Polokwane, I understand, or Polokwane in Limpopo is the right way to say it. To both our guests, thanks for your time. It's lovely to have you on the program. When we spoke yesterday, Lorraine, you had mentioned some 30-odd students that you were hoping would be able to pass safely from Ukraine into one of the neighboring countries. How did that go yesterday?
It's gone very well. Good morning. They've made it to the border, made it to their host families. We just gave you a bit of an update. We have evacuated so far 66 South Africans. 30 are in Poland, 4 are in Romania, 7 in Slovakia, and 25 in Hungary. But we still have 31 South Africans making their way to the borders.
Right. And there's been great reaction. I think it's actually safe to say a backlash, given the testimonies that are coming specifically from black students, let's be frank about this, who, quite frankly, were met with racism at the border. Has that helped at all in trying to, I guess, ameliorate what was going on there? In other words, do you reckon this has reached the officials who are accused of carrying this out?
It has definitely not, because we are trying to tell all Africans, all non-Ukrainians, because it's not just it's ethnicity that they're all targeting. It's not specifically race. We've got white students as well. As soon as they know you're not Ukrainian, you will also get sent away or also at gunpoint. So it's literally non-Ukrainian. So we have asked everyone to stay away from the Polish borders and to make their way to Hungary, Slovakia, and Romania.
Yeah. Lebone, let me bring you into the discussion. I understand you also working with some volunteers in places as far as Canada, Washington, other European countries as well. Help us place your involvement in trying to get, specifically South Africans safely out of Ukraine.
Okay, so we've been working since Thursday with a number of the students who have requested assistance. And obviously, Expat South Africa couldn't have done this without the volunteers, across the globe. Like you mentioned, Canada, Washington, the UK as well. So since Thursday, we did make an update, sent out an update via Twitter saying, okay, the students that we have assisted are in safe hands, and they did manage to get in contact with the South African volunteers in Hungary, many of which are actually known by Ms. Lorraine, because there is a group that I am in where we get, updates, feedbacks, and the students that might need assistance. So that's what we've been doing so far. Any updates that we do receive from the students, we make sure we update them via Twitter or via Instagram stories.
Yeah. I mean, the state of the students who do make it out, Lebone, are you able to describe to us, at the very least, what that state is? I mean, I imagine initially there's obviously a great sense of relief, but it's been a pretty traumatic experience to get to some kind of safety. Yeah.
I mean, right now, just with the group that we're in constant communication with, the ones that did make it out, they are just exhausted. Right, all they want to do is get back to South Africa as soon as they possibly can. We do know, while we have been in contact with one of the South Africans, he's not a student, he is an elderly gentleman. And just from the update from one of our volunteers in Poland, he is actually on his way back to South Africa. And obviously, he's just extremely, extremely tired. His main focus is just to get home. It was a traumatic experience. And yeah, we can only just empathize, rather.
Yeah. Lorraine, again, the big concern here is that the conflict, the turbulence may very well reach the borders where people are trying to flee. For now, a lot of it has been the turbulence that is towards the south of Ukraine, a lot of conversations around places near Kiev and Kharkiv in the last 24 hours. How worried are you about this violence reaching the border where there's still this kind of lack of coordination, for lack of a better term, around getting specifically non-Ukrainians out as soon as possible?
We're very worried. That's why we're asking. And thanks to your channel, we had 4 South Africans actually coming out of the woodworks yesterday that we didn't know where they were. and their parents saw the news, the live broadcast, and that's when they contacted us. So we're asking again, if you've got family in Ukraine, South Africans in Ukraine, Africans in Ukraine, let them contact Lebone and myself, and let's get these people out. And just coming back to the people that are injured, we've got the students' feet are done. Their hamstrings are finished. We've got the South African families of Poland and in Hungary are assisting these students to take them to hospitals, to get them sorted out. We've got girls that are so badly traumatized. We've got a group of registered trauma counselors on standby, helping them, assisting them, talking to them, and helping them through this extremely difficult time that they're in.
The last figure I got from you correct me if this is wrong, Lorraine, is 31 South Africans that are still hoping to get out. How worried should we be about things like the necessities, the food, etc., in a context where supply chains, I imagine, have been greatly disrupted, especially inside Ukraine?
In the area of Kiev and closer to the Russian border, there's no more petrol. The food is running out. I spoke to Shelton. He's a specialized pediatric surgeon. He says, Lorraine, the food is getting low and we can't get out. We tried yesterday because the area that he's in Odessa had a travel ban. You were not allowed outside your house. If you were caught outside, you would have been shot. So they tried yesterday to get out. They made it to the next town, and then they had to come back because there was huge conflict and fighting, and they had to return back. So we're worried about those students. We don't know if we're going to be able to get them out. So we're asking, if you find a gap, go. Just go. Just go to the nearest town, and we will guide you from there to the safest border.
Sure. Lebone, as we round up our discussion, I mean, people are hoping to get help from at least you, because I imagine South African families might find you a whole lot more accessible since you're in the country. How do they reach you? But also, I mean, what kind of considerations are being made, if any, about some of these students continuing with their studies? Is that something they're even worried about?
Well, just based on yesterday when we were communicating with one of the students, he actually got out just in time. And, you know, he's a medical student, he's doing his third year, and he was just telling me that, look, right now we have no idea what's going to happen. We don't know where we stand, because obviously they can't resume, you know, studying online. There's no way they can study because of the crisis itself. So we are really just hoping, you know, for the best. If at most maybe they can, you know, enroll in any classes maybe back here when they get to South Africa. And, you know, we're just hoping for the best. And in terms of anybody who does want to reach out to Expat South Africa, they can just reach out to us via Instagram, Expat_South Africa, or Twitter, especially at Expat South. And most importantly, our main focus right now is we are just calling out as many donations as possible. Under Expat SA, we've received a number of emails from South Africans across the globe asking where can they send in donations, even if it's, you know, just a small amount, a large amount, it doesn't really matter, because like Ms. Lorraine was saying, food is running out. You know, she spoke about petrol as well, and we are just trying to make sure they get as many essentials as possible. And just most importantly, majority of, you know, the students we have spoken to, they do struggle a bit, you know, to get transport. And just looking at South Africans in Ukraine, a number of them are not, you know, on scholarship. So it does make it a little bit, you know, challenging, or just a little bit difficult to gather finances in such a time.
I can only imagine. Well, thanks for the work that you do and for speaking to us, to give us this update. Really do appreciate your time. Lebone Kganyago is the founder of Expat South Africa, live to us there from Limpopo in South Africa. And also joining us there is Lorraine Blauw. She's a member of the Ukraine Crisis Evacuation Committee.